Hello, and thank you for tuning in again to another episode of CivilianTacticalWeapons.com. Today's episode is going to be a follow-up on the STG-556 episode that we did a few weeks ago. And the reason why we're doing this particular follow-up is a comparison of the MSAR Inc.'s STG-556 and an actual Steyr AUG. So a couple of things I wanted to note about these two firearms. Cosmetically, they look almost identical. There's very little differences between these two guns. A couple of options that they added is you have a side rail option on the MSARs, whereas with the original Steyrs you did not. There are some creative kits that were created later to try to extend right under the handle, where you can have like a side rail to mount something on, but it was never anything offered directly from the manufacturer. Other things to note is there's been some improvements with the MSAR over the Steyr, and particularly this one here, which is on loan from a friend of mine, has actually a bunch of tape along the back here. The tape is actually to kind of take the beating from the shell casings that eject from this. Some of the original AUGs had the problems that the shell casings would actually hit the side of the stock and cause some damage to it. So he actually put just some regular black tape on there to avoid that from happening. The MSARs actually have a pretty clean ejection. It's actually kind of funny. You sit at the range and you don't move, you would almost have a perfect pile of ammo in the corner. It ejects very cleanly and in a pretty tight area. It's almost like there's a little target area of exactly where all the shell casings are going to go. Other things about this to note is parts that are interchangeable. We've been playing around a little bit with the two firearms. There is an extreme amount of commonality between the two guns. We've tried actually replacing the barrels. The MSAR barrel does fit in the Steyr, and the Steyr barrel does fit in the MSAR. We did not actually try to fire it in that mode yet, but it does appear that they would actually function. The magazines, however, are not interchangeable. We have been able to take the MSAR magazine and stick it in the Steyr STG, or I'm sorry, the Steyr, but the Steyr mag will not fit in the STG, which we already knew that ahead of time, but just as something to mention. So if you do have a original Steyr and you need extra magazines, if MSAR can actually produce any in any decent amount of time, you'd be able to actually get one. The other things to note here is from an accuracy standpoint, these two guns, and keep in mind this gun here is a 2008 gun, and this gun here is a pre-banned gun. The accuracy of these two guns are pretty much identical. I haven't seen any drastic improvement in the accuracy between one gun over the other, but they both actually shoot very solid, so they're not. It's not like there had to be any major improvement over the accuracy. Also at the range, I was also firing the Smith & Wesson M&P 15T that we did a show on before, and in all comparison, that one with running a 3X EOTech on it pretty much shot the exact same way as the Steyr. So you pretty much are getting a black gun design, your typical black gun, but instead you're getting something that's much shorter when you're going with the MSAR STG-556 that actually has a much more easily maneuverable area. So that concludes this episode of CivilianTacticalWeapons.com. Remember, if you have any questions, you can email me at info@CivilianTacticalWeapons.com, and hope to see you for next week's episode.